Hey guys, my name's Dave and welcome to another Guitar Zero to Hero song tutorial. In this lesson, I'm going to teach you how to play No Such Thing by John Mayer. For the basics of this song, you will just need a guitar in standard tuning. If you want to master your chords back to front, then be sure to head over to guitarzerotohero.com to pick up my free guitar ebook. Or if you want to improve on your guitar in general, then sign up to Guitar Zero to Hero Premium, which is my complete step-by-step guitar course. Alright, let's jump into the lesson. Okay, so let's start with the intro here, and there's 2 lines of tab. So let's start with the first bar, and we'll break this bar up into 3 smaller sections. So the chord shape we have here is an E major 9. So you're going to take your index finger and bar it across the 11th fret of the 5th, 4th, and 3rd strings. Now you don't want to bar your index finger down to push the 2nd and 1st strings, so just focus pressure on these 3 strings, and then you'll put your ring finger on the 13th fret of the 4th string. For the first little chunk, we'll hit the open 6th string twice, and then we'll hit the 5th, 4th, and 3rd strings. So target those higher strings after the 2 bass notes. So we'll do that twice, and then the final little chunk is almost the same, except we hit the bass note once, not twice. We put those together, and this is 1 bar, and this is all played at 8th notes. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... Now for the second bar, we start with the same small chunk, so 2 bass notes and the chord. And then the second chunk changes a little bit. So we have 2 bass notes, and then we're going to hit the chord, and then lift our ring finger, hit this chord, and then with our pinky go up to the 14th fret of the 4th string. So the second chunk, and together for the second bar. And those 2 bars all together. Next we get to the 3rd and the 4th bar. Now in terms of the rhythm and the strings that we're hitting, everything stays the same. The only difference is the chord changes are in reverse. So for the first half, we're going to stay on this 14th fret of the 4th string. And at the very end for the last 3 shapes, we'll hit this, then lift your pinky finger, just have the index finger barred, and then put our ring finger back down. So it just kind of works in the reverse order. So the 3rd and 4th bar. So that's it for the first line of tab, and the second line of tab is basically just identical. Now one thing that we want to add here to make it sound closer to the original is some palm muting. So anytime you hit the open 6th string, you want to lightly rest your palm on the edge of the bridge, and you'll get that muted sound. And when you strum the higher strings, that's when you'll actually lift your palm and strum the strings like normal. So you'll only put the palm down when you're hitting that 6th string, and that will sound like this. Now if you're practicing this, take that slow. It's just a matter of rotating the palm and making contact with that 6th string, and then when you're hitting the higher strings, you can just lift that. Something like that. So that's it for the intro. Next we get to the verse, which has 4 lines of tab. So this first bar, we're going to have this E major 9 again, and it's exactly the same as the first bar in the intro. So we have... and we're going to play that for 2 bars. The next shape is an A major 7, so we're just going to move our index and ring finger down 1 string. So 11th fret of the 4th and 13th fret of the 3rd string. Our bass note changes here, so we're going to be focusing on the open 5th string, but our picking pattern will remain the same. So the first 2 chunks is 2 bass notes and the chord, and the final chunk is just 1 bass note and the chord. And that's played for 2 bars. Then we go to a C sharp minor 11. Now John plays it like this with his thumb reaching over the top, but I'm going to play it like this. It's just a little bit more comfortable for me. So middle finger on the 9th fret of the 6th string, ring and pinky on the 9th frets of the 4th and 3rd, and index finger on the 7th fret of the 2nd string. Our picking pattern is the same. So the first chunk is 2 bass notes in the chord, and we're going to play that twice, and then the final chunk is 1 bass note in the chord. So Now the second time we play this, it's going to change a little bit. Our first chunk is the same, so 2 bass notes in the chord. And then for the rest of this, we hit 2 bass notes, 2 chord strums, and then you can hit the top 2 open strings as you move to the next chord shape. So the C sharp minor 11 altogether. Alright, so next we go to an E minor 7. So index on the 10th fret of the 5th, ring finger on the 12th fret of the 4th. So we're going to hit the top 3 strings, and then you'll take your pinky finger, reach up to the 14th fret of the 3rd string, and we're going to strum all of that. So that's on the 2 beat. So 1 and 2, and then we'll hit 2 bass notes. And then your pinky will come down to the 12th fret of the 3rd string, and then a bass note, and then you'll lift your pinky finger and place your middle finger on the 11th fret of the 3rd string. That might seem like a lot, but basically the first strum is the only thing that's held out for a full beat. Everything else is at 8th notes. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... So once we've struck that final chord, we're going to hold it out into the next bar with another down, 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 up, and then followed by 4 more down strums. Down, 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 down. And all together for these 2 bars. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and the second line of tab in total. Next we get to the third line of tab, which is identical to the first line of tab, so nothing new to learn there. For the fourth line of tab, the first 2 bars are the same as the first 2 bars in the second line of tab, so we have that C sharp minor 11, like that. Now instead of going to the E minor 7, we're going to play some tricky chord shapes here. The first one is the C7/F sharp. So first of all, get your fingers into this position. So it's basically like a D minor chord shape, but we shift everything up 1 string. And then what you'll do is you'll take your thumb and you'll reach over the top to hit the 2nd fret of the 6th string. And if you can, lightly touch the 5th string as well, because you'll want that to be muted. So you'll really need to reach your thumb over here in order to get this chord. Now the alternative is that you can play it like this without your thumb, but it will make it a little trickier later with the following chord shapes. So I'm going to play it like this with my thumb, and that's how John Mayer does it. And then the next chord shape is an F sharp 7. So keep your ring finger where it is and your thumb. You can lift your index and middle here, and your index will move up to bar across the 2nd frets of the 4th and 2nd string. So this is F sharp 7, and then we have F sharp 9. So the final chord here is the same, but we'll add our pinky finger to the 4th fret of the 1st string. So this is F sharp 9. And those 3 chords. Now after you hit this chord, we're going to continue on to the next bar with a down, 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 up, and then another down, 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 up. So the final line of tab will sound like this. A lot of dexterity are required for these chord shapes, but if you just keep at it, your hands will slowly adapt. That's it for the verse, which sounds like this. Next we get to the pre-chorus, which has 4 lines of tab. We're going to start with the A sus2 shape, which looks like this. So index finger on the 2nd fret of the 4th string and pinky finger, or you can use your ring finger as well, but I'll use my pinky finger on the 4th fret of the 3rd string. Now we're going to strum from the 5th string onwards. So to ensure that the 6th string doesn't ring out, you can just use your free middle finger to lightly touch that. So that's our A sus2. We're going to play that chord shape, and we're going to move this up 2 frets, so to 4th and 6th frets. That's our next chord shape. Our 3rd chord shape is the same, but up at 7th and 9th. So another A sus2 chord. And then our final chord shape is the same, but just moved up to 11th and 13th. So it's A major 9. So 4 shapes there. And we're going to strum each chord with a down, 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 up. So they'll sound like this. And that's just played through twice for this first line of tab. Now the second line of tab, we return to this E major 9, and we're basically playing the first 2 bars of the intro, except we're not changing our chord shapes like that. We just strum this E major 9 chord 3 times at the end. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Then for our third line of chords, we're going to an F sharp 11. So to play that, you'll use your thumb to reach over the top, hit the 2nd fret of the 6th string, index on the 2nd fret of the 4th, and a ring finger on the 3rd fret of the 3rd string. And you can play the open 2nd and 1st strings here. You want to keep the 5th string muted though. Now you can also play that like this if you wanted to, but since we're using a lot of our thumb, might as well get used to it. We're going to be strumming this with a down, 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 up 4 times. And then we'll go to our A sus2 and we'll play this for 2 strumming patterns. And then we'll play an E/G sharp. So it's the same shape, but we'll just take our free ring finger and put it on the 4th fret of the 6th string. And we'll play that for 2 strumming patterns. And for the 4th line of tab, we'll go up to our E major 9, and we're just going to play this full chord, so the top 4 strings, with 8 down strums. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and just a pause. So that's it for the pre-chorus, which sounds like this. Next we get to the chorus, and of course there's some more tricky chords here. So we're going to start with this chord shape, so A minor 11, but I'm going to use my thumb because this is actually quite important for the next transition. So thumb reaching over to hit the 5th fret of the 6th string, ring and pinky on the 5th frets of the 4th and 3rd string, and index on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string. So this is our A minor 11. Now if you want, you can use your middle finger as well to hit this 5th fret of the 6th string, although it will make things a little trickier when we go to our next chord. So with this shape, we're going to start with hitting the bass note, hold that out for a beat, so 1 and on the 2 beat, we'll strum the whole chord, so 1 and 2. We'll hit the bass note again, and then we'll move up to the 10th fret, and then we'll hit the bass note there. So the next chord shape is a D7 sus4. So with our thumb here on the 10th fret of the 6th string, we'll bar our index finger across the 10th fret of the 4th, 3rd and 2nd strings, and ring finger goes on the 12th fret of the 3rd string. And if you can, with your thumb reaching over the top, you'll want to mute that 5th string as well. But if you can't do that, you can use your free middle finger to do so. So a bit of a tricky chord to reach with the thumb over the top, but this is a D7 sus4. So after we hit that bass note, we'll strum this chord, and then we'll do a muted strum. So just drop your hands onto the fretboard with the palm hitting the strings as well at the same time, and that will be on the 4 beat. And so far, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And then we're going to go to our E major 9 chord shape, and we're going to strum that on the end beat after the 4 to end this bar. So 1 and 2 So this E major 9 will spill into the second bar. Strum this with a down, down, up, down, 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 up. So we'll put those two bars together. So that is tricky, but just take it slow and one bit at a time. We'll repeat that through 3 times essentially. Now the 4th time around, when we hit the E major 9, we'll just continuously hold that out for most of the next bar until the end beat after the 4 bell will strike that chord one more time, and that will take us into the second verse. So the last 2 bars, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and that's chorus 1 in total, which will sound like this. The second verse and the second pre-chorus are the same as verse 1 and pre-chorus 1. Then chorus 2 is almost the same as chorus 1, except we don't hit that E major 9 on the end beat of the 4 at the very end. Next we get to the bridge, which has 3 lines of chords. So we're going to start with an F major 7 flat 5. So to play that, basically play an F bar chord shape, but you can lift your index finger and then use your thumb instead to hit the 1st fret of the 6th string. And you're going to leave your 2nd and 1st strings open. So this is our F major 7 flat 5. So we'll strum that, and on the 3 beat we'll hit the open 1st string, then the open 2nd string, and then the 3rd string. And then we'll end by putting our index finger down onto the 1st fret of the 2nd string. So this is F major 7. So the first bar, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and... In the next bar, on the 2 beat, we'll strum this chord, and then on the up strum, we'll lift our index finger. And then on the 4 beat, we'll hit this chord one more time. So the second bar, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then for the 3rd bar, we're going to slide this shape up to the A position. So our root note is now an A, and this is an A add 9. So we're going to strum this, and then on the end beat after the 2, we'll start with an up, down, and on the final up strum, we'll go back down to the F major 7 flat 5. So the 3rd bar, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and for the 4th bar, on the end beat after the 1, we'll hit a up, down, down. So the 3rd and the 4th bars together, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... In the first line of tab in total. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. For the second line of tab, we're basically just playing the 3rd and the 4th bar of the first line of tab and repeating that through twice. For the 3rd line of tab, we'll go back up to this A add 9. We'll strum this, hold out for 2 beats, and strum it on the 3 and the 4 beat. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then for the next bar, we'll go to this G9 shape. So middle and ring finger on the 3rd frets of the 6th and 4th string, and index finger on the 2nd fret of the 3rd string. And the 2nd string can be open as well. We're just going to hit this chord at 8th notes continuously for 2 bars. And at the very end, you can do a quick up strum as well. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and that's it for the bridge, which sounds like this in total. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, 1 Next we get to the final pre-chorus, which is basically the same as the other pre-choruses, except the fourth line of tab is cut out. So that's the only difference between the final pre-chorus and the other pre-choruses. And then we have the final chorus. Now the final chorus is almost the same as the other choruses, except this first line of tab is repeated through 3 times. And then for the final line of tab, for the third bar, after this D7 sus4, we're gonna mute, and then on the next bar on the 1 beat, that's when we go to our E major 9. But we're actually gonna play the E major 9 like this. But it's actually up to you whether you play it the original way or with this positioning. But with this method, you'll basically play a C add 9 chord shape, move that up to 7th and 6th fret, and you'll take your pinky finger and put it on the 8th fret of the 3rd string. And you can hit all the strings here. And that's a really beautiful sounding chord. So the 3rd and the 4th bar, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... So those are all the parts of this song. Structure wise, it's actually quite easy, but to get all the nuances like the palm muting and to reach those tricky chord shapes, you will need to practice quite a bit. But trust me, my hands actually aren't that big. I'm not a very tall guy, but I can still manage to play it. So just keep working at it. If it does frustrate you, then maybe put this song aside, and once you're better in the future, come back to it. So now I'll be doing a full playthrough of the song, and I'll have a vocal track on top for some context. A big thanks to my friend Eric for lending his awesome vocals to this playthrough. Feel free to play this back as many times as you'd like to practice, play along to, and see how you go.
Your life, blot it out.
Thanks so much for watching. If you've enjoyed this lesson, then I know you'll absolutely love these other lessons too. So hit the link here. Or if you want to grab a copy of my free guitar ebook, then head over to guitarzerotohero.com or click the link here. Thanks so much, and I'll see you guys next time on Guitar Zero to Hero. Cheers.